Hello all and welcome, and I am the MGTOW philosopher, and in this video I would like to discuss the Manchester bombing, where 22 people were killed and 119 more were wounded by a whack job, extremist, Islamic, extremist, jihadist nut job named Salman Abedi. Now, this Fruit Loop is believed to have traveled to Syria and become radicalized before returning to the UK to cause carnage at the gig in the city where he was born. What was that? An Ariana Grande concert. He was the son of Libyan parents who reportedly fled their native country and sought refuge in the UK. He's thought to have come back to Britain from Libya just before the massacre. This is from the Telegraph news agency. Now here's everything they know about the Manchester Arena attacker. His family background. He was born and raised in Manchester in 1994, so he was born in the UK. So this radical Muslim wacko is one of the many people who fled from their native Middle Eastern countries to go live in one of the European countries. What wonderful liberal havens these places are. He grew up in a Muslim household, but matured into a university dropout. Yes. So, he grew up in England, but somehow he didn't really adapt to the English culture, the British culture, nor did he seem to be assimilated in any way. His parents, mother Samia Tabal and father Ramadan Abedi, a security officer, who is, by the way, under arrest at the moment, as is the brother, who is also a nutjob terrorist, are Libyan-born refugees who fled to the UK to escape Gaddafi. Oh my. It's thought they returned in 2011 following Gaddafi's overthrow. So once they had become British citizens, and once Gaddafi was overthrown, they went back to their home country. So they didn't really develop much of a love for the UK, it seems. Abedi is thought to have an older brother named Ismail Abedi. Yeah, this is very early reporting. The brother has been arrested as a terrorist. He knew all about this, and he's also a terrorist nut job. And he was born in Westminster in 1993, so only 1 year apart. So, as we well know, that these Muslims are baby-making factories. There's another younger brother, Hashim Abedi, and a sister, Jomana, who knows what they're up to, whose Facebook profile suggests she is from Tripoli and lives in Manchester. Very diverse family background, a little too diverse. Family friend who asked not to be named said that the family were known to be in the Libyan community in the city and described Abedi as normal. Aren't they always normal? These terrorist, psychopathic, serial killer nut jobs. People are always saying, "Oh, he seems so normal. I can't believe he did that." So the family friend told the press organization he was always friendly, nothing to suggest he was violent. He was normal, to be honest. Yep, they always seem normal, don't they? Abedi is believed to have attended the Manchester Islamic Center. Of course he did, because all these nutjobs always attend some kind of mosque in the country that they're living in. They don't want to leave behind all their wonderful culture that made their home countries into hellholes. Oh no, they want to create small little island paradises of their own cultures and communities and background, ethnic background, and religious teachings in the country they moved to get away from the shit that is caused by these very things that they are clinging to, and they refuse to assimilate. Sheikh Mohammed Saeed said he believed Abedi had displayed a face of hate after the imam gave a sermon denouncing terrorism. Okay. Abedi's education, that was, I guess, the person who was in charge of that mosque. Yes, he gave a speech denouncing terrorism, and the boy got angry. He said that's one of the only negative interactions or views he had of the boy, is that he gave an anti-terrorist speech at one time in the mosque where the boy was attending a ceremony, and the boy visibly got angry. Interesting. Abedi's education. He went to Burnage Academy for Boys between 2009 and 2011, and then on to Salford University in 2014, where he studied business management before dropping out, according to a source. He dropped out, college dropout. Imagine that. The source said Abedi began his course in 2014 and attended lectures for 2 years but then stopped going. Well, where were his parents, I might add? Where were these people who cared about his education? Oh, they might not have approved to begin with, it seems, especially when you go, according to the fact that when you go to a university, you have to intermingle with people of other cultures, of other races, and they experience other ideas. Oh, no, I'm sure his parents didn't like that at all. The source said Abedi began his course in 2014 and attended lectures, stopped going. He would have graduated this summer. So this is way back in 2014. He dropped out. It continues to say he did not live in university accommodation, had not been in any trouble at the university, and was not on any radar for pastoral or social care. So he didn't live at the university. Parents probably didn't want him mixing with outsiders, with the heretics that we all are, not believing, the apostates, the evil people we all are for not believing in Allah, yet you come to live in this westernized country, but you hate it. Okay. It's understood Abedi was not known to have participated in any clubs or societies during his time in higher education, and never met with the resident imam at the college. Of course not. He is registered as living at the Abedi family home, Elsmore Road, South Manchester, as recently as last year, where plainclothes police raided a downstairs red brick semi-detached property on Tuesday. Neighbors recalled an abrasive, tall, skinny young man who was little known in the neighborhood, kept to himself. Imagine that, how serial killers all tend to have this one characteristic trait. They tend to be loners, keep to themselves, often seen in traditional Islamic clothing. Traditional Islamic clothing, but he lives in Britain. These people don't adapt, folks. They relocate to Western countries because they want a better life, but they don't seem to realize that that better life is hindered by the very culture and traditions that they are holding on to, that those traditions and that culture and that religious upbringing and those religious beliefs are what directly contribute to their home cultures, their home countries failing. If they would adopt the Western ideals that they supposedly moved to adapt to, and live within, they would be much more successful people. But considering that most Muslims have about an average of an 80 IQ because a full 50% of them inbreed and marry first cousins and other very close relatives, I guess it's probably not too much, I suppose it's too much to expect them to understand these kind of ideas. He is thought to have lived at a number of addresses in the area, including one in Wilbraham Road, where officers arrested a man on Tuesday. Abedi previously lived with his parents and a brother, of course, because he was too stupid to take care of himself. Hence why he became a terrorist. He saw no future for himself. He was a loser, and so he figured, why not just blow myself up and take some more infidels with me? I hate this world anyway, and I hate Western countries, and I'm jealous of all of them for being more successful than me, and it's their fault I'm a fucking loser, so let's take a whole bunch of them with me. Neighbors in Elsmore Road told how Abedi had become increasingly devout and withdrawn. Lena Ahmed, 21, said, they're a Libyan family and they have been acting strangely. A couple of months ago, he, Saman, the nutjob who killed himself, was chanting the first kalma, Islamic prayer, really loudly in the street. He was chanting in Arabic. Okay, so imagine this, some nutjob rocking back and forth on his feet, chanting Arabic loudly like some wacky street preacher who has taken too many drugs, smoked too much crack. Interesting visual. To continue, a family friend who described the Abedis as very religious said most of the family had returned to Libya, leaving only Saman and his older brother, Ishmael, behind. Consequently, I'll say again, Ishmael is in custody for also having links to this attack and the group that they belong to, because the authorities believe that these two were not sophisticated enough to build this kind of bomb and to orchestrate this kind of attack. And they've already arrested 8 or 9 other people in a direct relation to this. There'll probably be more arrests. So these guys were members of a terrorist cell within Britain, people who had essentially come into the country pretending to be, refugees. They have not been there for quite a while. Okay, so it turns out they haven't been at their home for quite a while. Moving around a lot, yes. Isn't that what terrorists do? They don't generally tend to stay put. They want to stay one step ahead of the law that they believe is following them. They've not been there for quite a while. Different people come and go, said Alan Kinsey, 52, a car delivery driver who lives across the street. Miss Kinsey's wife, Frances, 48, a care worker, said she believed that the parents had left before Christmas and just one of the two young men had been living in this property. Consequently, the father has been arrested by Libyan authorities as a suspected terrorist. The whole family are terrorists. Amazing. Mr. Kinsey said a huge flag, possibly Iraqi or Libyan, had been hanging from their house. Yes, not a British flag, not a UK flag, but a Libyan or Iraqi flag. Amazing. The level of, they just have no appreciation for what the British people did for them. Took them in, gave them citizenship, gave them opportunities, probably gave them welfare when they first got here, and maybe continued to do so to this day. And yet they have no appreciation. They don't adopt any of the qualities and traits of Western civilization and cling vehemently to their Islamic beliefs. Just like that one girl from Mexico in America who the American government paid for her to go to college, and then at her college graduation she's waving around a Mexican flag. These people don't assimilate because they don't have to. Oh my God. Mr. Kinsey added, we thought it was about football or protesting or something. He's talking about the flag. He didn't know it was actually a, what it was actually for, which was them showing patriotism to their Middle Eastern country where they ran away from because it was such a hellhole. How did he become radicalized? It continues. Abadi has proven links with Islamic State, according to France's interior minister. Very interesting. Gerard Collomb told French television that both British and French intelligence services had information that Abadi had been in Syria, not his home Libya, but Syria. Mr. Collomb said all of a sudden he traveled to Libya and then most likely to Syria, where he became radicalized and decided to commit this attack. So here's what happens. These people, or their parents, immigrate to the European Union or some other Western country, live off the fat of the land for 10, 15, 20 years, and then just move back to their country and, get radicalized, essentially. So there's been no adaptation. They have in no way assimilated into Western culture. And then they come back, and because now they've established a firm foothold in that country, they have citizenship, or they have a long-time legal residency, and then they come back, and then they can legitimately go and move around freely, and then kill people. Oh my, what a big shock. Abadi had been a regular kid who went out and drank until around a year ago when he dropped off the radar. Yeah, where he dropped off the radar and started making regular long trips to Middle Eastern countries where he was in training camps getting radicalized. The Times reported the bomber's former landlord's nephew was saying. The paper quoted a friend as saying he had returned from a 3-week trip to Libya in recent days. This kid is a dropout and unemployed. Where's he getting the money to make all these trips? Wasn't there any red flags going up? Hello? Unemployed college dropout on food stamps is making lots of trips to the Middle East and back again. How is he affording to do this? Abadi's trips to Libya are now subject to scrutiny, including links to jihadists. Gee, you think? Yeah, I think they should have been under scrutiny long before that. Where's the British intelligence agencies looking closely at these people? They should be looking closely at all the people living in the country who have links and who are making regular trips back to their Middle Eastern home, which is consequently a whole hellhole, and which they ran away from to come live in Britain or some other European country. Why would they be making constant trips back? Maybe they have a legitimate reason, but that would be something I would look into. For some reason, they do not. A group of Gaddafi dissidents who were members of the outlawed Libyan Islamic Fighting Group, LIFG, lived within close proximity to Abadi and Wali Range. Interesting. So a former nationalist, anti-Gaddafi army unit, a group of dissident revolutionary fighters who were trained soldiers and revolutionaries, were living in the same neighborhood in Britain, and the intelligence services in Britain knew nothing about this. Didn't even investigate it. They know now. But, I mean, how much work would it have taken to find this out? Did they do any vetting at all? Among them was Abdel al-Basit Aziz, oh God, I probably butchered the last name, a father of 4 from Manchester. No, he's from Libya. Okay? He's not from there. He moved and lives there. Who left Britain to run a terrorist network in Libya. Oh, big surprise. So he moves to Britain for 10, 15, 20 years, and then once he's become basically settled and got a foothold in Britain, moves back to Libya to oversee a terrorist camp. Hay vey. So, who left Britain to run a terrorist network in Libya overseen by Ayman al-Zawahiri, Osama bin Laden's successor as leader of Al-Qaeda. Oh, jeez! Al-Qaeda, ISIS. Oh my God. And these people get into these countries by pretending to be refugees. But all the refugees are all young men in their 20s and 30s. Where are the women? The majority are young fighting age men. Aziz, 48, an expert bomb maker with connections to the bomber. Lives in the same neighborhood. I wonder if there's a connection. I wonder if he's the guy that made the bomb. An expert bomb maker was accused of running an Al-Qaeda network in eastern Libya. And he's somehow living in Britain and making trips back and forth, but nobody is looking into these people. Interesting. It's almost like the British government wanted these attacks to happen. The Telegraph reported in 2014 that Aziz, God, had 200 to 300 militants under his control and was an expert in bomb making. Very interesting. So, this guy, this radical Muslim extremist named Salman Abedi, was someone who grew up in Britain. He didn't grow up in the Middle East, he grew up in Britain, yet somehow he didn't assimilate one bit, didn't even have a British accent. His English was not very great, not very good. I mean, the English that he did speak was like, no accent to it. He so rarely communicated with British people that he had almost no accent. The guy spoke fluent Arabic, though. But, and his English, yay, he spoke English, but not, he didn't adopt the mannerisms and the strong, strong accent of a British person. He didn't integrate with the British. He did not assimilate to British culture. He remained through and through a Libyan. These people, when they relocate, when they go from their hellhole countries and move to some Western country, they don't assimilate because they believe you are the enemy. They are natural, cultural, Marxist socialists. They believe that the West is wealthy because the Middle East is poor. That's the way they see things because they're not very intelligent. Probably part of why he dropped out of college and was a loser. He has a low IQ. He doesn't understand how the world works. And in his mind, the only way out was to blow himself up and take as many evil white people as possible with him. And hence he would go to paradise and get 72 virgins, however many you get in his little fairy tale. So this is yet another example of the stupid, inbred morons that come from the Middle East who do not assimilate to Western culture and only pretend to be refugees so they can gain access to welfare that, of course, they believe is theirs to begin with because it was stolen from the Middle East, because since Western countries are rich and they're poor, it's a zero-sum game, so they must be rich and taking the money from us, and that's why we're poor. And so I have every right to take welfare from them and not integrate into their culture, and I hate their culture, quite frankly, and my purpose here is that of an infiltrator and a terrorist, where I will eventually grow up and then blow myself up for the glory of Allah and take as many of the evil infidels with me as possible. I am the MGTOW philosopher, and I wish you a good day. Bye-bye.